Welcome to season 2 of the Man in the Middle show with Kevin and Joe. I am Kevin, and that is Joe. Joe, it is great to be back with you.
Here we are again.
And man, we've had couple months off from season 1, and big things have happened, both having new adventures. And we're going to talk today to kick off this season, with this concept of starting fresh. Something that we have to battle in this stage of life. And again, just to remind people, this idea of midlife and the middle passage can happen as early as in your 30s, as late as in your 60s. It's not an age thing at all. It's a state of being. And the simple concept is when you find you've accomplished some things and you find yourself asking, is this it? What's next? And you're ready for something new. And Joe, a lot of people fight that because they feel like they just finished the battle getting what they have now, and they sort of don't want to screw that up. But you and I often bond over this concept that we have to keep pushing ourselves, and it's important to be the new guy at something as often as possible.
Yeah, I would also add to that there is a lot of experience of others of trying to hold on of everything that they've built. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like you said, one of those things is okay, I don't want to do anything new, but it's because I want to grasp onto all of the things that I've worked so hard to build up, and that fear of letting go
Yeah.
is really what keeps us stuck, right? Yeah, we know the fear of the unknown, the fear of uncertain future, and we've built up all of this stuff. It's like, especially when you get into that space, you're like, okay, I did all of these things that society said if I do all these things that
Right.
I'm going to be fulfilled and happy. And then you're looking around like, like we talked about in season 1, you're like looking around like, yo, I did all of this stuff. And why is there still kind of this a little bit of emptiness? Like, why is there still darkness in all of this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't how it's supposed to
Supposed to
be.
be in the victory lap. And,
Right.
this is,
I have arrived,
yeah, I'm going to coast from here. Everything feels great. Just don't lose anything.
Yeah, but there is something very magical about being a beginner.
Yeah.
The humility that comes from that, the excitement, if you allow it to be exciting, right? That comes from that. The like you said, the new adventure. It could even be so far as saying taking a risk, right? Being a beginner is a huge
Yeah.
risk
Yeah.
because
Vulnerable.
all of
Yeah.
those things that we just said that I'm holding on to, well, some of them I've been doing for 2 decades.
Hmm.
I'm not a beginner. Like
Right.
I know that stuff. I'm crushing
Right.
that stuff.
Yeah. But
So
but the conscious decision to, well, it's a very like organic process of getting an idea about something and then pursuing it. And in your case, it's occurring to me, Joe, if people are noticing, you're wearing a hat so they can't see, but you're shorn. Last we saw you, you'd again taken this time to grow out your hair and your beard, and you had this cool look going. And now, because of your new adventure, you've given up that look because you're so dedicated to what you're doing now, which is training for triathlon. So I want to hear this journey you've been on with this.
yeah, I traded in the Viking look. Like the
Yeah.
freaking big beard, the freaking long hair, man bun. My wife was like, "No, not the man bun." So I had to battle with that. And of course, I was outwardly saying I was growing it for all men at our age in midlife, right? And now I have to take that back. So again, but it stems from exactly what we were just talking about, and that is being a beginner. And I don't know if there's anyone out there that was ever a competitive swimmer, but if you are, I applaud you because I realized very quickly in my training for triathlon, I'm training for half Ironmans this year, because I'm not busy enough, apparently, um, that I learned how to swim as a kid to not drown.
Mm,
I
mhm,
didn't learn how to swim to race.
mhm.
I learned to make sure that I don't drown. That's it, because this whole swimming thing and swimming for distance and swimming for pace is it's a totally different existence. And it's incredibly challenging. It's very counterintuitive. And I was bringing the same disposition and energy that I had and intensity that I had on the bike and the run into the pool, and that doesn't work.
Mm. Got to find yourself in the as a swimmer.
Yeah, it's just totally different. So I spent about 2 months uh, really not doing well. I was probably about a month in, and I was battling this, swim cap with my long hair and the beard and all this stuff. And I came home one day from swimming in the pool, and I went upstairs and I shaved my beard and I
Wow.
shaved my head bald,
Wow.
like Kevin Rogers bald.
Wow. And the beard
And
was gone too. So you were babyface Joe
dude,
when Allie got home.
yeah, I still had the beard, but it was like to my skin and
Yeah.
well kept how I had it before for a lot of years. And then I went downstairs and my wife freaked out.
Yeah.
And then my son was like, What? Because I didn't tell him anything. Because me, like normal, I go for shock and awe.
Right.
Uh, but I was just so frustrated that I wanted to remove more of the friction from me building this new habit and the conditioning that I was building in the pool. And like you said, I'm like that, man. I'm
Yeah.
all in.
All in.
I'm
All
all
in.
in on stuff. Like
The
this
only
is what
mode
I
you have.
set to do for this
Yeah.
entire season, which is this year.
Yeah.
And I'm focused on that. And my hair and my beard and how I look is very much irrelevant compared to my ability to be focused and condition myself in that arena, you know?
Yeah. It's awesome. So cool. And I've seen your training, like your stats on a day. It's insane. 3 hours of an hour each of intense stuff, running. I was just telling a friend of mine last night who's been doing triathlons for a year that you're doing this. And he immediately went to the swim. He said, I said, yeah, he's really, training hard. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, he's just got to get out of the water. Once he gets out of the water, he'll be good. And you know what he told me, man? He'll go and support the race, right? So he was in a kayak out there as a safety, um, you know, uh, port of safety for the swimmers. And he said they'll hang on to his kayak and they're kind of looking at him like, what do I do? And he said, I will not give them advice. I will not be the guy who said to either keep going or stop. I can't, and I was like, I get that, man. Um, and then he's like, I can wave a flag and I'll have a jet ski here in 2 seconds, but you got to you got to tell me to do that. So I was like, wow, man, that is really intense. Like people like you who've been training and then they get out there in the actual open water and it's a whole new beast.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Big
like,
boy stuff.
yes. And going back to the beginner thing, I remember what's so rewarding about it, and it's a pretty immediate reward in a group setting. I remember joining, I was probably around your age, where in joining fitness classes like kickboxing and things like that, circuit stuff. But you're so awkward the first time. You don't know how to kick, you don't know, and you just feel like, I don't know if I'm made for this, and you're panting. Well, then like a month or 6 weeks into it, now new people are coming in and you're like going over and helping them a little bit. And you're like, I've arrived. Like I got this now. And you have this ability and I know what's coming. And it's just so rewarding to feel that and have empathy for the new person. You remember very recently how they're feeling right now. Makes us better coaches, certainly. and I think all coaches should always be pushing themselves to be new at something as often as possible for that reason alone, just to renew that empathy for what it's like to start a new regime or adventure, push yourself out of your comfort zones.
Yeah. And I would say that the other thing is too, it became, like you said, when you're in it right at the beginning, you don't have the experience of being a month in or 3 months in.
You're just there.
And so I'm like, okay, I met with my coach like 3 weeks ago, and he gave me a whole entire reset. So
Hmm.
he's like, you're not allowed to like even swim right now.
Wow.
You're going total reset back to drills only.
Hmm.
Balance drills, propulsion drills, breath progression drills, minimal swimming after you do 45 minutes of drills. Then you do a little bit of swim, get out of the pool. I've been doing that for 3 weeks. And dude, I was excited about being able to float on my back properly
Yeah.
and breathing. And, so there's something to be, but then again, that day that I met with him and we did a whole entire reset, in my mind, all I'm thinking is like, I have a race a month away.
Yeah. I don't have time.
I'm not even gonna be able to do
I
this.
can't do wax on, wax off. I'm about
I'm
to
like,
fight. Yeah.
yeah. So then, fast forward a couple of weeks of doing the drills, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be able to do that because I got myself centered. I leveraged my ontological training for shifting my whole way of being in the pool. Because, like I said, my disposition was bringing intense bulldozer mentality of bike and run into the pool. And I needed to switch into flexibility, being fluid and floating and one with the water, So
Fundamentals.
right. Shifting that mindset, shifting the body, getting focused. It's almost way more meditative. It's been a lot more enjoyable because it's
Hmm.
just a totally different discipline, right? That's what makes it so challenging. So now I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to that point and I'm going to, and here in April when my races are, and man, I'm going to be okay. I know that I'll at least be able to make it that distance, and my coach is like, the race that you're doing out at Fort DeSoto is awesome because where you guys swim, you're able to stand up in the water if you can't make it. So
Oh,
you
that's
can
good.
stop, stand up, take a break, and then keep going. So I'm like, oh, great. So it's
Yeah.
my first ever race. It's going to be pretty packed. It's only a sprint. So it's a, half-mile swim, 10-mile bike, and 3.4-mile run. So again, the distance isn't a struggle for me, but again, getting into that whole race mentality, everything's going to be new.
Exactly. That's another big thing. And I often give this advice when people are going to do a speaking event or something and they haven't done one before. I say, remember that what there are going to be environmental factors that you can't anticipate.
Mm.
And you want to play that cool, you want to be ready and relaxed for that. So, yes, like have your opening line rehearsed and ready and all that. But if you walk up and the mic's glitching or there's people milling about near the front of the stage and it's distracting you, just be ready for that and be in that moment and then deliver your line. Because kind of like what you're saying with the pool, if you try to just bulldoze past circumstances, your brain starts to and then you panic and you start sweating and it's hard to catch up when you start like that.
Yeah. I mean, and the really cool thing about that is just that whole experience of, like you said, going through that and facing those fears and really showing up. It's like what Carl Jung says, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.
Yeah.
And that only happens through self-realization as a fundamental goal. And so if it's not that fear isn't going to ever happen,
Right.
it's what do I do when I feel like that?
Right.
Am I willing to take action through that? Right? Am I willing to say, hey, this is going to be, like we said in the beginning, start a new adventure? Well, this is going to be a fun new adventure. Well, sure. But in the beginning, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be new. It's going to be fresh, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what do I do then? But the cool thing is that with all of that comfortability that comes along with doing so many things for so long, like we talked about in the beginning, doing something new like this for fun, have it be exciting with all of that positive pressure that we put on ourselves, it bubbles up a whole bunch of new things to the surface that we were previously blind to, staying in that comfortable space for so long.
Yes, sir. And it reminds us, it creates an inherent self-belief that whatever comes my way, I'll figure it out. I'll adjust, I'll adapt, I'll learn, I'll get advice, and I'll get through it. I mean, shit's coming, everybody. That's the one. This is a promise. Shit's coming. I don't mean that to be daunting. Two things. Number one, appreciate the blessing of every day that goes your way. And number two, be ready for when it doesn't, because that's it. That's the one guarantee in life. Shit's coming. And those who survive in particularly high achievers, like you, Joe, very much a high achiever. You don't do anything half-ass. And you're making up for the first half of your life every damn day, and that'll lead to maybe regrets, which we'll get into in the next episode. But you have to balance it. Just like I love that analogy of the pool. It's like I had to become one with the water and find myself and let it be meditative. And I'm here where I belong, and I'm developing these instincts to know what to do if I start to encounter trouble.
Yeah. And what you just said reminded me of that quote from Hollis from the Middle Passage, where he talks about the task of midlife is not to look into the light, but to bring light into the darkness.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's what that is.
Yeah.
That's what being a beginner is. And I'm bringing everything that I am with that into that experience to be able to maybe produce something new and meaningful. And I will say, specifically for my personal experience with what we're talking about right now, all of this stems from 18 months ago sitting in a cardiologist waiting room, like we talked about last season, where I sat there like, what am I doing here around all of these old people?
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I want to live as long as I possibly can because I really, really love life. I love living. Like you said, I live life to the fullest. I'm a participator.
Yeah.
So it's like when I get into that back office with this doctor, I am going to do whatever is in my personal power to change what is going on in my life. So I transitioned out of bodybuilding and eating like that. And I transitioned into endurance sports, did a weight loss journey last year,
Mm-hmm.
and, lost 45 pounds,
Wow.
stairs 7 days a week. You remember,
Yeah.
it was nuts. And then transitioned right into half Ironman training with a coach at the start of this year,
Mm.
get my blood work done, and I reversed all of my levels. Everything's in
Wow.
line. My cholesterol, my triglycerides, my glucose, everything in my blood on my blood work now. In 18 months from the focus that I've put on taking this journey, which it technically is my darkness,
Yeah.
right? And shining a light on that, taking personal responsibility and internalizing my capacity for growth and then applying that to my life. And now I've shifted my whole entire thinking on how I train. I hated cardio, bro. I
Yeah.
was like, cardio means I'm going to do another, chest day. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
chest. I'm not doing cardio.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
do biceps, right?
Right.
So now, yesterday, or 2 days ago was the first time I did resistance training in 3 months. I've been doing 12 to 15 hours of endurance sports training weekly since the beginning of the year.
Wow.
So it's amazing how, if we just allow ourselves to step into something new, it becomes our new normal.
That's right. I've had this phrase I've been using. Those who do the most sweeping have the best brooms. And let me tell you when that occurred to me. I was a little medicated through the new laws of the state of Florida. And I was sweeping my driveway. And I had the shitty broom that's in the garage of the place, you know, and I'm thinking, this broom really sucks. And because I'm in a cinematic state of mind, I follow this thought all the way. And I'm thinking, man, people who sweep every day, as you know, landscape guys and all that, must have really great brooms. They're like, oh, I'm not using that broom. And they'll go to, you know, they just organically learn about what makes a good broom and what's the right broom for the right situation. But most of us, if you don't need a broom often, you have the same shitty broom your whole life. You never think twice about the actual broom you own. And it just occurred to me, this idea that you just have to start sweeping if you want to know about brooms. Most of us don't really give a shit about brooms, but it's the same with anything. You just have to start. And it's interesting that it came from a scare, a visit with that doctor, and looking around and going, this can't be my life. I'm not accepting this. And taking it a whole new direction, giving up the things we all do. We all want muscles, and resistance is, I have that same mindset. I'm like, I've heard enough that you get a pretty good cardiovascular workout from an intense lifting session or whatever. So I'm good with that. And for you to give that up completely, that was you finding, it's trial and error. And if you weren't doing it, and then what is your goal? That's such an important part of it too. When you attach now the idea of this deadline for this race, it restructured every goal you have and how you'll spend your energy. You went and got a coach. And so this is the bigger picture of what we're talking about. It can start in small ways. Joe, for me, I've been forcing myself to get out more, because, you know, I've been in this journey of solitude and understanding loneliness versus solitude and all these things. And I'm in this wonderful place of I really love my rhythm of life, and I love my space. And, you know, but it's very hard I just turned 55, as a 55-year-old man, to go out alone, learning myself as a solo artist, because my whole social life was, you know, friends we'd had forever, and it was all very comfortable. And now I'm like, how do I go out and I just want to have fun and not look creepy, or I don't have an agenda. But when you're an older guy and you're alone out, and I like to go and I see music and dance and do things, and, you know, there's probably a lot of creepy guys in that scenario with other agendas. And I'm like so conscious of not trying to come off that I'll just not do it. But I'm not a wallflower either. Right. So for me, it's like finding that balance. And I'm doing the same thing of reaching out to friends who I know have, you know, maybe been single their whole lives or whatever, and saying, how do you navigate that? You're about my age. You're out in the world all the time. How do you start conversations in a way that feels organic? Because that's my only agenda. I like meeting people. I love having conversations. I don't care who it's with. I just like meeting people. And I'm overthinking it. Just do that. You know, don't worry about the perception of what you're doing. You know your intention, and that will always emerge. And so you can't control what other people are thinking or how they're reacting or what their assumptions are. And you don't need to change them in one night out at a club. Just go do you and be you, and let the night go where it goes. And by just doing that and allowing that, I've gotten so comfortable. And you find your spots in those things. And it's been really interesting. Yeah, I had this moment where I think, oh, I bet, when you're a guy that looks like me, and I'm like, I'm not a guy who sits there. If I'm eating at the bar, I'm not on my phone. Um, I'm checking the room. I'm looking around. I'm very present in whatever I do all the time. That's just how I like to operate. Um, and I'm thinking people would think I'm either a criminal or a cop. You know what I mean? Like this guy's making a drop. Why is he scoping out the whole room and looking at everybody? Or is he here to he's got a warrant to serve? you know?
He's wearing a black V-neck and Chuck Taylors. He's definitely a cop.
Yeah. But I don't know what people are thinking, and it doesn't matter. Is the thing that I'm learning. It's like just go out and be yourself and know your intentions and exist in that, and everything will take care of itself.
Yeah, see, people outside of our industry don't know what you're wearing is the copywriter uniform,
Yes, that's right.
which is the
The
which
black
is the
t-shirt.
same thing every day.
Yep. Don't want to think
Every,
about it.
don't
Yeah.
want to think about it. Robs you of creative energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that. I love that, right? Because it's like it's the principle that clarity is only gained through action. You can sit and contemplate and meditate and pray and prepare and plan all you want, but until you get into it and you start walking down the path, that's when you start realizing what it's all about. And and the other thing that surfaced for me when you were talking is what I was like, I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about it because I talked about it almost probably on every episode last season, which is practice. It's like, well, how do I do this? Practice. It's
Yeah.
like, well, how do I get better in the pool? By going in the pool every day.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
how do I get better talking to people at the bar? By talking to people at the bar every day. And
Right.
it's like, we
Just
want to like figure all this shit out
yeah.
before we're just doing it. And it's like,
Yeah.
that is the most powerful place to be, is to be like that childlike mentality of being a
Yeah.
beginner. Like if you're around a small child for a while
Yeah.
that's asking you a million questions,
Yeah.
after they ask you each question, they're not thinking, oh, does Kevin think less of me for asking that question and trying to be curious? It's like, no, they don't. They just want to learn. They just want to
Yeah.
grow. They're just curious. It's like, then we get trapped into 2 decades worth of knowing all this stuff. And now all of a sudden, oh, I can't be curious. Oh, I can't be beginner. Oh, I can't put myself out there
Right.
for the sake of looking stupid. What if I don't have everything put all together? And it's
Right.
like, well, in actuality, like Hollis says, risk taking is not about personal bravado. It's about honoring the deepest truths within ourselves.
Mm.
And so, if I can do that and do more of that, hopefully, just like you're doing that, then hopefully people that are listening, they start doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe their wife does that or their other friends do that. And more people start doing that to where this becomes the new normal rather than sulking and hiding and up this comfortable, this safety, comfort zone. Oh, man. But
Yeah.
when we do that, we limit our
That's
possibilities.
right. You as you said it, man. And this is universal. Last night we went out and my sister was with us and we were gonna go to this dance club. And she's like, okay, but do I have to dance? I said, no, but you're gonna dance. Meaning, and I wasn't saying I'm gonna make you dance. I was saying when you get into this club, it's infectious. Everybody's dancing, everybody's having a good time. You don't have to be on the floor. It's got these couches around, and it's like wherever people are, they're just dancing because the music's great. And sure enough, she couldn't contain herself. By the end of the night, she was, and it was beautiful to see because in her mind, it was the scariest thing. I'll go, but promise me I won't have to dance. And then you get there and you go, oh, okay, this is okay. I feel okay here. So it's just allowing yourself. How often are situations what we imagined, right? So rarely. So rarely. And that's why I always quote, and I love this, may be my first tattoo. Most things I worry about never happen anyway. That great Tom Petty line. And it's just every time I hear that line, I'm like, man, that's such a good reminder. We build shit up in our minds. And it's a protective instinct. It's a survival instinct to say, no, I know that situation that made me uncomfortable. I'm just going to avoid it. Can't do it. Know you're out if you're really uncomfortable, but you gotta go see and change your perception, because that was one time and you're attaching to the fear of feeling that way again, and there's a very good chance it won't be that way. And you'll be delighted and now have a new neural pathway and a new idea about what's possible in a situation like that. But like you said, you just practice showing up places.
Yeah, I mean that's everything. And I love that because everyone in the club was doing something, so then it makes it easier. Then
Yeah.
you look like the foolish one for not
For not doing
participating.
it. Right. Yeah.
So
Right.
that's the cool thing. Like I remember my cousin had a wedding out down there at was it Don Cesar or whatever, St. Pete
Yeah.
Beach.
Yeah.
Me and my brothers, our wives and kids all go down there and whatever. And, we were kind of telling my cousin's wife, like, hey, like, just so you know, we like to party, and a lot of people think that like, oh, it's going to get crazy and they're, hanging off the banisters and all that stuff. It's not. It's as soon as the music starts, everyone gets up out of their chairs and they go to the dance floor and they go there. And you
Yeah.
take breaks, but you're there dancing
Yeah.
and participating and having that fun the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like what that does is, like you said, it is very infectious. So then, all right, some of her family's coming in now, and
Yes.
okay, some of the other in-laws are
Yes.
coming in now, right? And you start because
So
it's
good.
like, man, they looks like they're just having so much fun, and it's like,
Joy. That
man, let's do it, man.
that's why I go to these clubs where people are dancing, because dancing is expressing joy through your body, through your movement. And it just doesn't matter if you're quote unquote good at it. It, it however it feels good to you, and then you let go a little more and a little more and a little more, and the person who was like very timidly out there pretty soon is like they're just letting it fly, and it gets more beautiful the more they let it go. And you can just, because of the radiating joy, when you're moving your whole body and you're in sync with the rhythm of the song and the tempo of the song, it's ritualistic. Right, it brings us back to think about all the ancient tribes and all that we know about. There was always ceremonies, and there was always dancing and praying and movement, and we're wired to exist that way. And if you refuse yourself the ability to express yourself physically, I think that's a real impediment. I don't think you're quite living all the way if you refuse to look silly moving your body. You got to, I'll give everybody that one thing. It's like, and you can do it alone in your house, man. Find some music that you almost can't resist moving to. Michael Jackson, we've talked about Earth, Wind, and Fire. I dare you to put on Boogie Wonderland and stay still in your seat. I dare you. And just shut the curtains, man, and crank it up and move. And it just feels so good. You deserve that.
Yeah, if you can do that and get over yourself, you can do it in front of people.
That's right. It just
That's how I learned public speaking. My mentor who taught me public speaking said, just we're going to have you doing everything in front of the mirror. Because the only reason why you can't speak in front of large crowds is because of yourself, not because of the large crowd. So if you can get over doing it in front of yourself, in front of the mirror, you can do it in front of everybody. And he was absolutely right.
yep.
It's the same thing with getting over the silliness of dancing by yourself.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Kevin, experience as well was relearning how to go dancing in those different environments once I got sober.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I had to relearn how to do all of it, and I had to force myself to do it because there wasn't any social lubricant anymore,
Right.
right?
No liquid courage.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like relearning all over again. But again, I'm a participator, so I got out there and cut up the rug, and now it's like I want to be the first out there.
Yeah. And again, just going back to the broom thing, now that I do that so often in my house, just because I enjoy it and I love music and I like music that makes me move. I like below the neck music, as they say. I'll get into some above the neck stuff, and I like my Floyd and those things, but I'm a below the neck guy. And now I'm like, how is it I'm trying to learn to dance? I don't want to go to a swing class. I'm like, if you told me I had to learn salsa and more traditional things to be able to, certainly that would all help. But I did some research, and it's called Northern Soul is the dancing I want to do. I didn't know there was a title for it, but it's basically that the temptations that, you know what I mean? And so you learn to shuffle first, and then you get into stomp where you're lifting your feet and and I'm like, all right. So then now I'm watching videos on YouTube, and I'm gonna, start buying courses. And again, it's just like, it's exactly what you're doing with the triathlon. It's like, just find something that speaks to you, because you're not going to do it if somebody else prescribes it, or just whatever speaks to you. Woodworking, who cares? Whatever it is. God, I'd love to whittle a piece of wood into something. Start scratching the shit. You know what I mean? Just like grab a knife, and then you'll get a better knife, and then you'll find the wood that's easier to manipulate. And everything's a process, like you said, man. Practice, starting, and do it instinctively. That's how everything got made, instinctively, back in the day, right? It's great when you go to a museum and you see the old tools, and you're like, this is genius. Well, it came from necessity. They were, using a rock to carve wood, and they're like, damn it, I need a sharper rock. And they figured out how to sharpen a rock into a knife. And you know what I mean? It's just, that's all it is. It's a pattern. It's a process. And I think the only takeaway for me is, like, when you catch yourself saying, oh, but I can't because, oh, but I need instruction. Oh, but you're impeding yourself. Just start in the rudest way you can and let it evolve.
Yeah, I had a mentor tell me back in, I think, around 2010, tell me that everything after butt is usually bullshit.
Everything after what?
Everything after butt is
Oh,
usually
yeah.
bullshit.
Right. That's
It's
good.
like, well, I'll do this, but
Right. Oh,
yeah, I
butts.
think I can do that, but
It's a nasty word.
yeah, it's like, okay, I'm sorry about that, but like we,
Yeah. I love when you can hear the butt coming by the phrasing. You ever see, that SNL sketch? It's so hilarious where they're like, the couple that talk shit about people, and they're like, oh, love him. Oh, he's the best. They're our best friend. And then they start to whisper, but you know what's weird about him? Have you ever noticed that? I mean, that cracks me up. Everybody knows people like that. So
it's the
funny.
best. Yeah, so I think the big thing to wrap up things here is that we wanted to start things fresh this season, and we wanted to start things fresh in midlife. And Kevin and I are both taking on things that are making us feel fresh and renewed in our own life, and at the sake of our own ego. And saying, okay, I want to get outside of myself because I want to feel something. I want purpose in something, and I want some joy in something. And I think, after we talked last week, it was just, I left our call, Kevin, thinking, man, you and I are just really attacking things right now with the newness of life. And
Yeah.
it's no wonder why we are feeling more inspired, we're feeling more awakened, and overall just feeling renewed. And in a time where is typically the lowest point of the happiness scale of life. And all of that comes from intention and action, massive action of, and okay, I need to get out of myself here, right?
Yeah.
So I think why we wanted to start this season like this is because, hey, maybe there are some of you that are just kind of like living in Groundhog Day, like Kevin and I both have before, like
Mhm.
everyone always does. And maybe this then is a call for you to say, you know what? I always wanted to do this. And, I always wanted to do this as a kid. What happened to that? And, we're going to be talking about that in the next episode. So you should definitely listen. But it's one of those things, man, unless I start asking those questions, I'm going to be staying stuck in that same comfort zone. It's not safety, it's limited. It's limiting my possibilities for
Yes.
having, you know what I mean? So,
Which is ironically very dangerous
right. It's
for your health, for your well-being, for certainly for your mental health. So you trying to stay safe and well is working against you in a big way. And like we said, Joe, little whatever it is, just listen for that but. Yeah, I could, but I need to process it. I need more information. I'm an 8 on the fact finder in the Colby. And so I know my instinct is to research the hell out of something before doing it. And when I get past that and just do it, things always go better. And I get to joy. Just look for joy. It might come in the simplest ways. Do not rob yourself of joy for adhering to logic.
That's right. And thank you for joining us for the first episode of season 2. Make sure you guys subscribe. Most importantly, we'd love it if you would review and share this
Yeah.
with somebody that needs it. Share, share, share. That's the most important thing. Don't forget also, maninthemiddleshow.com is our newsletter. Kevin is, as you know, is an incredible writer, and he pens up a written version of each episode for you guys to check out and for you to think a little bit deeper and and consume a little bit different format than the audio, right? Or watching
Yep.
us on YouTube. So make sure you to subscribe to that as well. And as always, thanks, guys.